Com.
We just mentioned Jerome Tang, Kansas State, KU, and also wrapped up a little bit of the Big 12. Kansas State with a huge win at home, the atmosphere, the postgame. Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com, has been someone we go to when it comes to Kansas State, joins us on 365 Sports. Tim, can you kind of explain? Everyone was excited when he was hired, I'm sure, but what was last night like?
It was great. It was an incredible environment, but Jerome Tang is always coaching. It's something I didn't understand about him. He's coaching his players on and off the court. He's coaching his coaches. He's also coaching his fans and in some ways the media about, trying to have a healthy rivalry and focus on the bigger picture than just playing Kansas every year. And but here's my biggest takeaway from a basketball standpoint last night. Kansas State beat the second-rate Kansas Jayhawks and didn't play nearly as well as it can. And I can't say that in any other recent victory over Kansas. It usually takes that great effort, one player to have that super night. Yeah, some guys play great. Keontae Johnson, Desi Fields played great, but Kansas State left a lot out there. They never got the kill shot. They never kind of finished them off until the very end. And that just shows what an upside Jerome Tang brought to this program and its staff so quickly. How good this program could be under him is just astonishing.
Outside of the fact that they're 16-2, what was was there just something bubbling under the fan base about the program because he's been embraced so fast? And I don't know if he's ever had an environment like that as an assistant coach here at Baylor, in spite of being a part of a national championship run. Unfortunately for them that year was COVID, so they didn't get to have him that particular year. But even then, I don't think he's ever had that kind of juice in the stadium like there was last night.
Yeah, you know what, K-State is a basketball school, and recent memory would kind of change that from, the moment Bill Snyder got to go into football, basketball took a dip, and it kind of became a football school. But this school's heritage is in basketball. I mean, 4 Final Fours and a lot of history there with Jack Gardner, Tex Winter, Jack Hartman, Lon Kruger, Dana Altman. That's a pretty good string of coaches in there that they had until they got the Huggins and Martin and Weber and now Jerome. There was a couple coaches in there that didn't do so well, and it kind of evaporated that history a little bit. But underneath, it's always been a basketball school, and this is a basketball state. And now being competitive against Kansas, which honestly not many programs in the Big 12 have been competitive with Kansas, which is a testament to their just consistent success. But he's bringing that back out, and it's really kind of fun to watch. As an old guy who grew up watching games in the Hearn Fieldhouse with Rolando Blackman and that whole era of players, it's fun to see K-State have a new generation of really passionate basketball fans.
When he stood on the table and told fans to, change the chants and all of that, I just said a few minutes ago, I said that there he was changing the culture live, on television basically, or live there in action. And just culturally, how different does it feel there this year versus maybe in years past?
I got to tell you, brother, that was one of the coolest things I've seen a head coach do. Because, in the past, we've had the Billy Tubbses of the world grab the mic for negativity. But here's a big win, and, the fans are on the court. Thousands of students are on the court yelling, FKU, and he gets on the mic and asks them to lead the chant in KSU and says, let's try to keep it positive. Let's try to keep it about us. And like I said, just always coaching. And it's just, I've never met someone like this. And I'm really wrestling at how to deal with it because this guy doesn't just exude kindness. He really wants to make everyone around him better. And I got to be honest, I didn't know Jerome Tang was like this one bit before he was hired at Kansas State. It is incredible to watch up close.
Sounds like what we've known about Coach Tang and Coach. Same with the Coach Drew. Is when people meet Coach Drew for the first time, your thought is, and it's Coach Tang is a little more subdued than Scott, if you can believe that, because Scott is an energy ball. But you kind of think like, there's no way this is consistent. This is 24 hours a day that this guy has this attitude, and then you see him enough, and you're like, well, he's never not been this. Like, it can't be fake anymore. So, and Jerome Tang's kind of cut from that same cloth.
I mean, it's no wonder that they built Baylor literally from ashes to the mountaintop. Mm-hmm. I mean, that kind of positivity will continue to feed and feed, but he's ignited this fan base, and go with what Chris Kleinman's doing on the football field. Guys, it's a great time for K-State fans, but honestly, it's a great time to be covering K-State sports, even as a journalist, because, even if I was an alum, even if, I was covering a school that didn't have a special place to me, covering winners and covering good people and good kids is a lot more fun than some of the stuff that you have to put up quite often with in the sports industry.
It's a great point. Absolutely. I tell you, there's a Scott Drew thumbprint on the play that actually won the game. There was the turnover at the end, the scramble for the ball, and the time ran out. But the dunk, the alley-oop to Johnson coming out of a break is something that I bet we saw and have seen the last 12 years, at least since I've been here, probably at least once or twice a game in what Baylor ran. I haven't seen it in a while. They have different type of players because they used to be long and angular and tall, and now they're more guard-oriented. But that was a brilliant timeout call. And, again, the shot that they got was amazing and easy, obviously.
It was just saying, my guys are going to execute better than your guys, and my guys can jump higher than your guys. That's what that play was.
Yep.
And they did it perfectly. And that is not something Kansas State has ever had the ability to say against Kansas until now. Maybe not since 2008 when Michael Beasley and that crew, brought their wrecking ball to Manhattan. But that was just an incredible pass from Marquise Noel, and Keontae Johnson just jumped higher than a really good basketball player, a really athletic player, and just was so strong he took the ball and dunked it. And that's just Jimmy's and Joe's right there. I mean, it's a great play call, but that's a play call Kansas State, quite frankly, hasn't been able to run in a very long time because they didn't have the guys to do it.
Tim, I feel like I've read the word Bramlage more in the last probably month than I have, seen in 10 years. But how have you felt, or how have you seen just the environment around the program and attendance and excitement during games and all of that? I mean, obviously last night was huge, but in general, how have you seen that evolve over these last couple of months or last, 3-4 months?
Well, it's going to be interesting because, the non-conference schedule stunk, and it was one he inherited. But Kansas State fans have this, I don't want to say it's a bad habit. Maybe it is just a cultural thing where they don't really focus on basketball fully until football's done.
Right.
And, part of it's being a smaller fan base and being a fan base in a rural area where, our biggest metro areas are 2 hours away. So it's difficult for a lot of fans to get to games during the midweek or, at certain times of the year. And then when do they open the Big 12 season? Oh, on New Year's Eve when the football team's in New Orleans playing the Sugar Bowl. And then they have 2 games down in Texas with Baylor in Texas. And they come home and play Oklahoma State, and the students aren't here. Last night was the first game since the students have returned for the second semester, the spring semester. And it's the KU game. So you knew it was going to be full. The students didn't need to be here to sell that game out. There would have been fans in the stands. Now you get Saturday against Texas Tech, a not-so-good team, but you got a Saturday afternoon game in the Big 12 with your students on campus. Brother, we're about to find out. And if the environment's like it was on Tuesday, he has done something here that is really special in a very, very short amount of time.
Yeah, and again, even though Texas Tech is 0-6, I saw Cyclone Larry, one of our favorites, on Twitter, who jabs at K-State and vice versa, making the comment he can't wait till like maybe next week when these two teams are going to have this great top 10 matchup. But I said, hey, in the Big 12 in men's basketball, you never look ahead. You can't do it in football very often either, but you never look ahead. He goes, yeah, I'm not worried about Oklahoma State. Well, they led, I think, at Kansas at one point earlier in the season by like 17 points. So you never know. You just never know. Yeah, they're struggling as well. Tim, great stories, good stuff. Enjoy Jerome Tang. I know you will, and so will the fan base. And great environment last night. I hope you're doing okay. I saw some of your tweets about stuff you're dealing with insurance-wise and all of that. Good luck with all of that, my man.
Yeah, well, I'm out of remission and back into the fight, but here we go. I know you guys will be praying for me, and it really means a lot.
It means a lot to us as well. Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com. Yeah, that alley-oop.